Okay, so what is the most common reason that churches split?
So doctrine, leadership failures, differing philosophies of how church should, how churches should look, and that can be from the what they do on Sunday mornings in regards to liturgy to how they're structurally set up as an organization and like the leadership structure of it, and even differing opinions on like worship styles. So one group is saying we're traditionalist and we want to have hymns, and another group is like, well, we want to have just contemporary music. And there's a split over that.
So how do these churches even form with people with such differing views?
Yeah, because that's actually a good question too. Because like I think for so long, I'll put it this way, for so long, our country in the United States, you had like the mainline denominations, right? So you had your Baptists and your Methodists and your Presbyterians and your Lutherans and, so on. And so you had these mainline denominations. And then I think people were kind of just born into that, if that makes sense. Like my family went there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue to go there. But
even though it's boring,
that some people may have said that,
and everything's dry.
Right. But for like decades, that was the way it was. Like you just kind of went like, we're Methodists. Well, we're Baptists. Like I remember growing up in South Georgia, even like so I got saved, in 96. So even like a little bit after I got saved, I remember someone in South Georgia asked me what religion I was. They're like, "What religion are you?" And I'm in my head, I'm thinking Christian. Am I a Christian? Am I a Buddhist? Am I a Hindu? Right? And so but they were actually what they meant by religion was, are you Baptist? Are you Methodist?
Right.
Are you Presbyterian? Like that was what they meant by religion, because obviously in their minds, religion, like you were going to fall into one of those denominational things. And so my point being is I think in the United States, for a long time, it was, you just kind of went to the churches you grew up in, and we weren't as, people didn't move around as much. You tended to stay more locally, geographically to where you were
unless
raised.
there was a girl from another church that you were trying to,
right, yeah,
get it on with,
or just date.
Yeah.
Right. So, well, so actually, speaking of that, so one of my sons the other day asked me if I could remember the very first sermon that I'd ever heard, that I could remember. And I said, yeah, actually I can. And so it was in this Baptist, it was a Baptist church.
Okay.
So after I got saved, like a few months after I got saved.
That's the first place you ever did a sermon in?
No, the first time I can remember like hearing, like listening,
hearing.
not giving, but actually, but actually like listening to like what's the first time I can like remember being taught,
Okay.
And for me, it was like a few months after I got saved, I was seeing this girl, and she went to the Baptist church, which was across the street from the Methodist church that our family was going to. And so I remember walking across the street, going to the Baptist church and sitting there, and the sermon, the preacher just like walked like word by word, line by line through this psalm. And I was mesmerized.
Oh.
Like I was like, this is absolutely incredible.
I'm just imagining you roll up to church with your family and then just start slowly drifting across the street, right. And they're like, where are you going?
No, so we would go to
Baptist?
So we'd go to Sunday school, and then when Sunday school got out, then I'd go over to the Baptist church across the street. But yeah, so I think that, when you talk about like how did churches start, that's, churches started through, movements of the Baptist or the Methodist or the Lutherans, planning churches, people becoming associated with them. Then I think it kind of became a family thing where a lot of families and generations. And then, when we hit the whole kind of non-denominational movement that started happening, where people were establishing churches that were community churches, that were not connected to any particular denomination. I think between that kind of non-denominational kind of movement, if you were, and then people becoming much more likely to move off from where they were raised.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think all of that came into play And then what I'm saying is, so you got a whole lot of movement. And then you start having people that didn't maybe grow up in a Methodist church in the Methodist church.
Right.
People that didn't grow up in the Baptist church now in the Baptist church, but they may still have in their minds and their heads what they think church should be like, even though they're in a new denomination. And then eventually you can kind of have a butting of heads.
Okay.
And so then I think that kind of starts the spiraling of things. And then just as we've seen just church just take on so many different forms, from the seeker-friendly church to the, high liturgy church, to the very casual, that's kind of more the seeker-friendly, but they're very casual, just, I'm going to wear blue jeans and a t-shirt, or I'm going to wear shorts and flip-flops to church, whatever it may be. And then you've got so you've got the different styles, you've got the small country church, you've got the rise of the mega churches. All of this stuff has impacted church life. Then you got smaller churches now wanting to look like those bigger churches, and that doesn't always fly with the people that are in those small churches. And so, yeah, I think all of that has led to these differing thoughts and opinions of what church should look like, what leaders' responsibilities are within those churches. And so I think all those things can play a factor in it.